What's up, guys? If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Also, please smash that like button on the video and enjoy the show.
Not at all. I remember one time I was riding a motorcycle and pouring rain, and I had to go a long way. I rode this bike for like 16 hours, man, and it was pouring rain. I didn't have a poncho. I pull over to this little shop on the outside, little cafe thingy, and I walk in, and it's pouring rain. I ask the lady, I say, "Hey, you guys sell any ponchos?" And she goes, "No." I go, "It's raining, and she didn't have, okay. And she goes, wait. She runs in the back room, and she brings out her own personal poncho, and she gives it to me. Here. I said, "Oh, how much? How much?" She goes, No, you have to pay it. I said, "No, really?" No, she said, No. I said, "Okay." I said, I'll buy all that stuff. I want to buy all that right there, And I bought some stuff, and I gave her a whole bunch of money, on top of that, But I was actually surprised how nice she was to me. Like, wow, she, But then there were other places I went to, like especially the men. I go get gas. I'm like, "Hey, need gas?" I'm like, "No, I just want gas." It's like they had attitude. I'm like, "Whoa, just gas. Fill it up. Here's my money." And I get out.
Sounds like the gas station around here.
Yeah, it's probably no different. Maybe it was something personal. I don't know, but
yeah,
overall,
you pull up. I'm like, "Can I get some gas?" It's like they're pissed you pulled up. I'm like, "I'm not paying you."
Gas for what? Well, for what? What do you need to get?
Fuck out of here.
No, actually, I was actually surprised. That was one of the places that really surprised me. My wife wants to go there, and I said, "Yeah, I'll probably take her back over there one of these days." But I was mentioning in the car, Hong Kong was one of my favorite cities until the Chinese took it over. That was kind of a shit show. I was there in 2015 when the British handed Hong Kong back to China. And when I lived there, man, it was so cool, man. And, everybody spoke English, Of course, they spoke Chinese, Just seemed like a really cool place to live. Very well organized, good infrastructure, transportation system. The Brits had it, so it's pretty squared away. And then and I was there when they were protesting, right? The protest started.
2019.
Oh, my God, man. There were thousands and thousands and thousands of people on the streets waving American flags, right?
Were you doing a job there at the time?
I was protecting a billionaire, bodyguard. I was running security for a multi-billionaire investment banker. So I lived there downtown. And I watched these parades, these demonstrations. And, it was amazing. They were literally, flying the "Don't Tread on Me" flags, with the yellow 2A, American flags, I'm like, wow. And they're asking, they wish they had, the Second Amendment because they're disarmed and they're going to get taken over, or whatever, Chinese government's going to take over. And they knew they were going to be doomed, man. I felt really bad for them because they were actually really cool people and good people. And then once all that happened, the transition happened, I went back a few times, and it was so different. They took English out of the schools. A lot of the rural people now came to the city, and they're selling their wares and stuff, and they can't speak English. They don't want to speak English. It just seemed like, it just didn't seem a welcoming place anymore,
Well, what do you think of China and all that? And the reason I ask that is because I kind of go in either direction on this one. So for a long time, I felt like no one was talking about China, and I would always be like, "Are we not going to look at this?" Right? And there were plenty of other people out there saying the same thing, but it wasn't like a mainstream thing to talk about the growth of China and stuff like that and what threat that could pose to the United States. And then over the past year and a half or so, it's become totally in vogue to talk about. I don't know why that happened, but you kind of have two camps with this. You have the camp of Andy Bustamante, who's been on my show, and now he's been on like every podcast in the world, where, from his perspective as a CIA case officer who he's allowed to say like he worked in Asia, that was a place he spent a lot of time. China is the biggest threat we got in front of us. They're going to overtake us, yada, yada, yada. And then you get the other camp, which is more like the Peter Zion camp. He's a foreign policy strategist online, very big. And he talks about how China's demographics are fucked. COVID actually backfired on them. They're going to have a famine inside of 15 years or something like that. And I hope he's right, to be honest. I mean, I don't hope for famine on people, but I mean, as far as like China not being a threat, I hope he's right. And I hope Andy's wrong. But I'm kind of like in between the two, where it's like, you have Xi Jinping, who's a communist, really psycho, let's call it what it is. And he's got such this grip on power that now, he's paranoid, and this is usually how these guys go, and it ends up going the wrong way. But on the way there, they're buying up so many things around the world. they have so much influence around the world now on the way to, say, a crash of the CCP, if that's what it's going to be in 15, 20 years. Could we have enormous problems? I tend to think, yeah, we could. But what's your thought on them as a global threat, if you will?
Yeah, I think they're the number one threat. Like for example, I just came back from the Philippines, and there was already they just had a clash. The Filipinos and the Chinese at along the straits there. And literally, their boats ran into each other.
They had a clash?
Yeah, I mean, literally two boats ran into each other, right? Because they're both claiming the waters there belong to each other, and so that happened. That just happened a few days ago. The Chinese are literally dredging up the seafloors around Taiwan. They're disrupting the areas for fishing, the reefs and things like that. They're literally taking the sand from the bottom or from around Taiwan, and they're building islands around other areas, strategic islands, if you will. We also know that they've apparently. The Indonesians already recovered several drone submarines that have washed up around Indonesia from the Chinese, where they're actually doing underwater surveys, surveying the waterways. So, okay, doing surveys, doing reconnaissance. Okay, we all do that, but kind of interesting that this is actually happening at the same time. There's this rift between Taiwan and China, and now there's a growing rift between the Philippines and China. There are some, I think Chinese people for the most part are actually pretty good people. I say that. It goes back to the people in power, man. The decisions they're making, because not all Chinese are bad. I got a lot of friends that are Chinese, and they're okay.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah,
the Communist Party only controls, I think, like 6.9% of the country is a member of that party.
Yeah.
And who knows how many of them are unwitting members too, right?
Yeah.
The people, they're just living under the control. It's not their fault.
Yeah, no, and so it always comes back to the freaking politicians, and there's got to be a reckoning one day. So, I mean, the entire world population just needs to stand up and say, enough's enough. All you assholes in charge, you're out, we're starting all over, and you're going to do this right. I think that's the only way it's going to change, but it's never happened in history. Everything just keeps collapsing and rebuilding and collapsing, and as long as there's the 3 P's: power, pussy, and and money, it's never gonna end. My wife speaks Mandarin, Cantonese, Old Chinese, English, Sundanese, Bahasa. She speaks 6 languages, and got a 6th grade education too, by the way. But she's worked quite a bit over the years for Chinese families. As like a lot of Indonesians, she was a maid, and from all reports, for the most part, they were always pretty good people, to her, and like I said, I've known a lot of Chinese. It's not an issue with those personally. It's just at the higher levels, and it's no different from our country, from the Chinese, from the Russians. But I do think they're a threat. I think they smell blood in the water too. I think they see what's going on, and I think that's why I'm kind of thinking we may not see the next election. We might be in a world war before then.
I hope you're wrong about
We're
that.
already in a war. Actually, we're already in World War.
It's all proxy, war by proxy.
Well, yeah, 5th generation, man. Right now, it's proxy wars, and it's a different type of war. Just because it hasn't gone ballistic, well, it has gone ballistic and it has gone kinetic, not to the level that we normally would expect in a war, but we're in war. It's literally a war, and things like social media. TikTok, these are all parts of the PSYOPs campaign, These are all tools, they're in a form of weapon, if you will, to manipulate minds and garner, trust and garner people, get people on their side, and just throw everything in disarray. We talk about TikTok here in America, it's like it's geared towards knuckleheads. But when you go look at TikTok in China, it's like, they're actually educating and training their kids, It's all programmed, man, And
there's hardcore programming happening around the world right now.
Yeah.
It's a very fascinating and scary thing.
Yeah.
But it sucks. Like, I've used this phrase or terminology, whatever you want to call it, before, that is really tough to rectify, but it's kind of true. It's like our democracy is used against itself.
Mm-hmm.
So like we love that. We love democracy. We love freedom. That's awesome. And we tried, and I don't think we do a good job, but we try to like spread that to the rest of the world. You look at China, communist rule, that shit's terrible. The one advantage they have is right there. Because they have total control, they can have all their little kids watch fucking Einstein and science experiments and stuff and get excited about science and math, and our kids just look at titties, right? And that, think about that though. Think about what that does across a population to the mind. And like, obviously, you know, kids who are teenagers, they like that stuff. But if that's all they're watching, you know, and the younger kids as well, if that's all they're watching, they're just watching mindless stuff and going, boop, 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 boop. Whereas in China, they shut you off at 8:30. You're not allowed to access it again, and you're watching science and math.
Yeah.
What do you think's going to happen?
Right.
Thank you for watching the video, guys. Please hit that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.